Hey, Christopher, nice throw, my dude. That is on point. Um, I had to look very carefully to even find anything to give you, but there's two things that I think are totally legitimate that um, will help a little bit, but they are not big. Like you're probably throwing what, like 400 easily, 450, maybe even longer than that. Um, like I'm gonna say you're moving too fast. I'm gonna say your X step is too long, but you pull it off, so I can't even say that. But the first thing that I see here is this your X step footwork. I think this foot is getting a little bit too far back. Like again, you're pulling it off; it's working for you, but if you commit to the idea of having that foot stay at 90 degrees, um, Brian Earhart's X Step deep dive video, he clearly states that he subscribes to the um, initial step at 90 degrees, X step at 90 degrees, and plant step at 90 degrees. Um, most people are on board with these two. Most people are not on board with this one because most of the pros throw with a 45-degree angle. But I think it's not optimized, and the reason I think it's not optimized is because your knee is pointed backwards. So if you move the toe so that it's facing forwards, you can get the knee to tip in a little bit. So this leg here in this position is not at all primed for the rear hip to get the leg out of the way. The leg has to turn in first, and like you do that, you do a very good job of getting that motion correct. And it's not an active thing; it's a passive thing. Like your leg scoops really good, but I think if you were to preload that motion a little bit more by having the knee already turned in by this point, so your knee would, that's not a line, your knee would be like that, and you would stay up on the ball of this foot a little more aggressively throughout the whole move. That's also going to have the effect of keeping your hips and your shoulders from turning backwards and coiling too much too early. Um, so it'll just keep you a little more neutral through your X step. So because the job of the X step is to give your body time to coil in, like you're doing a really good job of getting your heel forward, getting your glute forward, so that you're getting a nice fold into this hip crease. But if you change that foot position, then you'll get deeper into the hip crease. You'll have even more explosive power from that rear glute driving into your brace. So that's the first thing that I saw. And the second thing that I saw is your reach back timing is actually a little tiny bit off. How do my hotkeys work? There we go. So let's back it up a little bit. So I'm just going to find your peak reach back. There, that was it. And your toe is down, but your heel is not down. So this is a subtlety that I picked up from watching Drew a lot. Um, but I'm pretty sure that in each one of his throws, he is still reaching back when he's on the ball of this foot. When he actually hits peak and the hips start pulling the shoulders start pulling the disc, that happens when his heel comes down. So the more you can delay this reach back, the more explosive power you'll get out of the brace. Just see how you're getting into that. Yeah, so you can just delay that shoulder rotation a hair and the elbow extension a hair. So you're throwing like Drew. You're pumping forward on your X step. That's good. So I'd make that pump even more aggressive too. So this foot is getting ahead of you, and then it's getting behind you. And if you pump the disc forward with the foot, that'll happen less. So that's another cue to help you keep this straighter, right? Let's go look at that again. So you have a little pump where you're sending energy that way. Keep that going to match the momentum of this foot. See, because there your foot shoots forward and you start your reach back. So if you keep that pump, it'll keep your disc will be starting from a little farther forward, and then it'll change your reach back timing. As long as you give it space and don't rush back into this position. So little forward pump with the X step to get the reach back to be a little bit later, because like here it looks like you're already pretty much at full. Yeah, and that was before your foot was even on the ground. So your reach back is a little bit early. You'll get more power, more explosive power if you can delay that a little bit. So the only other thing that I'm aware of that might help you is getting a little more, either a little more offset, or thinking a little more about keeping your weight going straight towards your target and not shifting into this offset at all. And what that'll do is it'll get your leg to stay going forward more, which means it'll end up behind you, and it'll feel like, watch Simon's longer distance stuff. He really gets this hip locked up. Whether the knee is straight or not, I don't think it matters, but the hip needs to stop. If the knee is actively bending, that's bad. If the knee is bent but not bending more, that's fine. The important part is that the hip is being stopped on the spot. Then what will happen is it'll feel like, if this ball is your hip socket, it'll feel like your hips end up hanging down below that, and then your leg is projecting out rearward from that point. So the feeling is kind of like your upper thighs are squishing together with your rear leg out the back. So like it should feel like you could slip a deck of cards or a credit card in there and hold it, because your legs are so smushed together. Then the weight of this leg hanging down and forward helps weight the brace down even more. And then because of its position behind you, it slows down the rotation of the hips at the right time, where the hips can slow down the shoulders at the right time, so that your pocket doesn't spin out to the right. And then you get a little bit more snap on the disc, because your shoulders speed up really fast and then slow down really fast, and the arm is allowed to whip out even more explosively in front now that the shoulders are starting to slow down a little bit. So that's like the level of nuance that you're at, is tweak your rear foot a little bit so that you can keep that leg involved in the shot a little bit longer. Change the timing on your reach back by, like, I don't know, 1/10 of a second. But you'll feel it when it changes, because you'll just get a lot more snap. Like your fingers will probably start to go numb. I think you're at that level. And then if you want to play with more offset, so the leg will go behind you and help your hips be a little even more aggressive in the throw. But yeah, that's all I got. It looks really good. Keep up the good work, and please ask questions if anything comes up.